So Shohei Ohtani is involved in a gambling story. To the degree in which he's involved is very much open to the interpretation of you, the viewer, and the investigators, and the world that will now be coming after a story that has been breaking over the last hour or two. We have learned that Shohei Ohtani has fired his longtime, incredibly close interpreter over a gambling scandal and $4.5 million that has been paid by a bank account with Shohei Ohtani's name on it, by possibly even Shohei Ohtani sitting at a computer himself and paying off this illegal gambling debt, and his interpreter, who says he is the one who has run afoul of all these bad bets and that Shohei had absolutely nothing to do with it other than paying for it. And this interpreter went ahead and even sat down with ESPN to explain his role in all of this. After that interview happened, a spokesperson, not the interpreter, a different spokesperson for Team Ohtani disavowed anything that the interpreter had said in that interview and says that Shohei Ohtani is the victim now of a massive fraud scandal something. And this whole thing is just really fishy. Damon Bruce Show, welcome back. Brought to you by Ike's. Go get a delicious sandwich for lunch from Ike's. So I'm going to just read to you right out of this story. Tisha Thompson on ESPN. I've seen Jeff Passan weigh in on this, and a lot of folks are trying to get their minds around what is actually happening as this story unfolds. The interpreter for Shohei Ohtani fired this afternoon surrounding questions of at least $4.5 million in wire transfers sent from Ohtani's bank account to a bookmaking operation, and this has set off a series of events. Ipi Mitsuhara, the longtime friend and interpreter of Shohei Ohtani, incurred the gambling debts due to a Southern California bookmaking operation. Remember, online gambling is not legal yet in the state of California. How he came to lose his job, and then how he came to have reporters talking to him about this whole thing with wire transfers. That's what we're all trying to figure out. A spokesperson for Ohtani tells ESPN the slugger had transferred the funds to cover Mitsuhara's gambling debt. The spokesman presented Mitsuhara to ESPN for a 90-minute long interview in which he laid out an account in great detail of what happened. And then all of a sudden, Ohtani's people want you to pretend that that never happened, and everything that was just said right there is no longer on record, and he is a victim of fraud and wire fraud. The course of responding to recent media inquiries, we discovered that Shohei has been a victim of massive theft. We're turning the matters over to authorities. Well, based on the account that his interpreter gave to ESPN's reporters, investigators, that this is not really Shohei finding out that he was involved in this as much as, according to the story that the interpreter told, Shohei was directly involved in this and trying to make amends for his buddy and his friend. And again, this is where the whole thing turns into, well, what really happened? Are these bets Shohei's? How does his interpreter have access to his bank account? I mean, that's a pretty legitimate question right there. And again, if your interpreter is so ever present in your life as not just an interpreter around baseball, but a true friend that I'm walking through this entire world with, well, you're going to be talking to that person about gambling, and you're not going to find out about $4.5 million worth of money being moved just after it's all been done. Like, you're going to be aware of it while it's happening to some degree. What did Shohei really know? Were these his bets himself? And how involved was he in greenlighting all of this action? This is a really big story. Shohei Ohtani has been a Dodger for one game. He's got as many gambling stories now attached to him as he has played games for the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a guy who just signed a $700 million contract over the next decade. And before we can even make it to game 2, Shohei Ohtani is involved in a very big gambling story. To the degree that he's involved, we do not know. But there is something going on, and like just a timeline to kind of walk you through everything that happened here. Again, there's so many moving pieces. So you basically have an Ohtani rep sending Ohtani's interpreter to go on record that he had Shohei Ohtani transfer $4.5 million to cover the interpreter's gambling debts. A spokesperson delivers the interpreter to ESPN for a 90-minute interview that as soon as the 90-minute interview is over, the spokesperson says that Ohtani says that everything that his interpreter just said is a lie. Even though Ohtani sent his interpreter to explain it away, now everything that the interpreter has said is a lie, and Shohei Ohtani is a victim of massive theft, which is not at all the story that his interpreter friend told. His interpreter friend said Shohei Ohtani basically saw the debt piling up and just went ahead and paid off these debts. By the way, from an account with the name Shohei Ohtani on it. I mean, Shohei Ohtani can claim that he is not involved, but his name and his bank account that are directly tied to him are all over this story. So, Ohtani had zero knowledge of his gambling debt. That feels like a completely bullshit. Of course, Ohtani had some working knowledge of the gambling debt. How much? Was the debt actually Ohtani's? Were these bets Ohtani's? This whole, Ohtani had zero knowledge of anything that was going on is an impossible position for anyone to take after a 90-minute interview about the very detailed involvement of Shohei Ohtani has been put on the record. And you can say it's now we're no longer on the record anymore, but after after the interviews happened, it's happened. And all I can tell you is that the Sharks are going to come for this story in a massive way. This has got global implications around baseball. Shohei Ohtani, one of the most popular athletes on the globe, a baseball season that is now officially underway, and look at the stumbled into gambling issue that it's found one day into its season because the Dodgers officially played the Padres in South Korea. So, baseball season is underway, gambling problem. Gambling story immediately attached to baseball season. And my friends, I doubt this will be our first. As a matter of fact, look, I'm pro do whatever you want to do. Just do it with do it carefully. To offer the American public the rampant express lane into gambling an awful lot as quickly as possible is going to lead to problems. Problems for people who are watching and betting. It's going to lead to problems for the leagues that are involved now in gambling. And there is such one hand washing the other in terms of league profitability, franchise value, and gambling allowed by the league that I don't know how you go about separating these now. It feels like this is our first maybe major who is involved, major player, major face involved in a gambling story to this degree, millions of dollars being wagered. And, the one thing that seemed to be everyone had their story straight, whether they were approved to sit down to talk to ESPN or not, was that everyone went way out of the way to say there was never any gambling on baseball. Of all the gambling that was done, it was international soccer, it was other things, it might have been football, but it was never baseball for a minute, never baseball. Everyone's got that talking point down, which makes me think, I wonder if it was baseball. This whole thing is happening to an illegal bookie down in Southern California. So what access to his details, the Southern California bookmaker Matthew Boyer. This guy's got wire transfer payments. At what point will the FBI come for his ledger? At what point will we start connecting, phone calls from who made to what, texts from who to when to where, to place bets on to who to when to where. There is going to be a forensic untangling of this very complicated story. And it is kind of a mess. ESPN has reviewed bank information showing Shohei Ohtani's name on two $500,000 payments sent in September and October. Like the September, October that we just had. This is not ancient history. And while sports betting is legal in 40 states, it remains illegal in California. So there's the whole element of that element of legality that is attached to all of this. That could be enough to get some people in trouble, you would think. And then at what point is Major League Baseball examining, investigating its single most interesting, profitable, highest paid entity in the history of the sport? I mean, we're going to have to do a little bit better than taking Shohei Ohtani's word on this, right? Man, what a headache. What a little breaking, developing story we got. Again, an interpreter, a spokesperson, an interview, all of which at one time existed and then wanted to be claimed by Team Ohtani don't exist. Gambling debts, going up to $4.5 million here. These are not, just $20 parlays you keep missing out on to get to $4.5 million. You would think you'd need more than just, I make good interpreter money to run up a gambling debt like that. Again, the dollar amounts involved and the relationship that Shohei Ohtani's had with his interpreter, like they're friends, they're boys. There's no way you don't know your boy isn't getting into trouble like this. And there's the element of, if they were such boys, is this one of his boys stepping up to make sure that he takes the bullet and it doesn't hit Shohei Ohtani? Ohtani's involvement in all of this may not be the center of the story as it unfolds right now, but it will be. It is the center of the universe of this story. What did Shohei Ohtani really do? How did he do it? This sounds an awful lot funnier than just a guy who is trying to pick up gambling debts for his buddy. As a matter of fact, the more you look at this, it sounds like his buddy stepped up to try to take the bullet, implicated Shohei too much while he was doing that. Somebody smarter on Team Ohtani said, Shohei, you got to cut your boy loose and leave him twisting in the wind here. And that might be what happened. Woo! What a little scandal we got. Baseball, America's pastime. Like and subscribe, kiddies. We're just getting underway.